Hello, this is Pavel, and this is today's news brief. Everything I read or thought about technology and the changes coming for service companies. For those who don't know, I've been building technologies for service companies for a long time, and I firmly believe that the future service company is run, managed, and grow as a technology company. So there are a lot of blueprints taken from technology companies to adopt. Let's start with the recent news. The first one is the story you probably hear everywhere from a different angle. The AI was going to do the work, the human just checking. And this just is a very loaded word that is hiding the entire problem. The AI has a capacity to produce the unlimited volume of information, drafts, check-ins, the code snippets, and the checking part of the business exploding. The more people required, the coordination between those people, how they are making decisions, how they align in this decision between themselves is becoming a new bottleneck for any business. We'll be creating policies, we'll be creating the guidelines, the new line of business governing AI emerging fast, and the multiple startups raising seven figures to become new observation tools for AI. This is while we're solving one problem of producing the information, producing the results, we rapidly creating new bottleneck of judgment and decisions and aligning all in the company so that it is not growing out of control. The next one is the story that repeats over and over is how AI will make easier and cheaper company to run. I was watching most recent Peter Diamandis Moonshot podcast, and I love his work. I love the people who getting on his podcast are all visionary and they're trying to predict how the technology will change the business and society. But I was surprised how they are fixated on how AI will change our yesterday's problem. So how AI will change company as we see it today without taking into consideration that company will be different tomorrow. All of those claims that 70% of the people can be replaced by the agents that are making judgments and decisions. And when Peter asked the person he's interviewed, out of 75% that will go, the distribution will be 60% will be from the middle management, 20 from the bottom, and 20 from the top. First of all, the math does not add up. What company has 60% of middle management, if you consider that 75% of the company represent this pool of people will go? Where in the company you will see 20% of the top executives that will be replaced by AI? But that's not the point. The point is that the changes in the business landscape, the competitive race, the client's expectation will negate the advantage we will get with the technology in respect of simplifying the work processes as of yesterday. We will continue solving more complex problems. The customers will expect better services and just simply expect that everything will be simplified by just LLM giving you solutions to the problems. That's not a moonshot. That's a dream. So nothing is going to get easier. So the only way is to get stronger because the pace of change will increase, the competitive landscape will increase, the expectation will increase, and the company needs to get stronger, and every team member needs to get stronger in order to keep up with the pace. The next topic I want to just cover is the whole madness about multi-agent personalities that everyone is pushing. When we look back to some of the attempts to break through the technology limitation, let's say 20 years or 30 years ago, there are some attempts that make us smile. So I remember a newspaper that was meant to feel like a real newspaper while it is electronic, and you had to wipe it out every day and load with the new content. But the intent was to continue feel like a real newspaper because, quote unquote, people want to have feeling holding a real newspaper. Every new technology starts by imitating the old one. And we immediately looking to solve yesterday's problem with a new technology. The early cars called horseless carriage. And I believe that what's going to make us smile about thinking today is that we try to give personalities to same LLM, to same model, asking them to pretend to be different persons and try to mimic the human hierarchy so that to mimic how human work. It is the same model. So there's advantage of in prompting it's differently, but completely going all the way into pretending that we are creating different human personalities, that is definitely overboard. And that's definitely not how the AI can be used moving forward. So we take technology that probably means to eliminate meetings and try to use it to simulate meetings. So then machine talks to machine mimicking different people discussing or brainstorming the problem. It is a natural transition. So this is how we discover of the real breakthrough in the application of technology when it comes to the real world. But it's definitely should be taken with a grain of salt. We are not at the peak moment on the evolution. So we'll look back 20 years from now and we'll smile and what we called one day close to AGI technology. So we will continue evolving. The business continue evolves and we'll think that the problem we're having today were easy and simple way of running business. So the speed of change in the business landscape, this is what every business should be worried about. Another point I want to discuss is if AI hypothetically does 75% of work, where the differentiations of the businesses become. So again, I'm referring to the same moonshot podcast where we discuss how easy it would be to set up a company, to give personalities to the create what they call agents and give them personalities so that they will do everything from strategic planning for everyday monitoring. And then you break it down from the technology standpoint. So we'll let people go. We all use the same model. So it will be like slight variation, but let's assume it's the same model. And the only difference in the company is the prompt. It's a thing layer, so that will be barely different from one company to another. So where the competitive advantage goes. So what make one company win over another company? And it only makes sense when you understand so that it's not going to be that simple. If you do not create value, if you do not do something that is create value for the customers, if you're just feeding the thing prompt to LLM so that the value you produce will worth exactly as much. And one more observation I want to discuss, which is, I think, funny observation. A year, 2 years ago, it was mainstream thinking that it is extremely important to be AI equipped or you lose your career, you can't do much, and the companies should start using AI. But very short time passed. Try to find anyone who will tell you that they don't use an AI. So we still keep saying that we should be using AI, we should be using AI more, but there's no more single person who just said that I'm not using AI. I don't know how it is. I don't know how I use it. AI is a consumer product. It's designed to be very easy to use. It's built in everything around us, in every social platform and every tool. It should be in every device. That's not a big deal to use AI. Producing results, like when you move it to the company level, producing the results, move an advantage and increase the productivity, shorten the service delivery cost or time, that's a big deal. But using AI, it's no longer a badge of honor. Everyone does it. And people still continue telling, if you look at or if you go to any conference, you go any talk, like most of the time, people keep telling that you should start using AI, assuming they are pretty advanced. And I think we reach a Dunning-Kruger type of moment with the AI when everyone believes that they are advanced and everyone around them are far behind. So that's how it feels. So it is because we so uncoordinated what it is, what it means. The AI becomes the end goal itself for some time so that we now just measuring how much company uses AI without yet putting it in a perspective that it's not necessarily correlate with the benefits for the company. And this is where the main work is. And that probably lead for another observation. I will keep it as the last observation of the day. While companies now actively using AI, if it disappears tomorrow, what would break? What processes would be impossible to any longer run? What type of work will be extremely expensive or hard to replace with people? And if that not that many, so that all of the AI advantage, all of the AI usage in the company move into the convenience category. So there are a lot of things that make work more comfortable. And unless it is aligned with the business goal, AI become one of them. It is easier to do, but again, so if the company has not created dependency that will break if the AI disappear, so all of this illusionary. So there is not much of the benefit for the company for using AI yet. All right, that's all for the day. I'm glad you're here. I would love to get connected and hear from you and have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.